You thought they were gone, but they're still here. Legends who outlived the lights, the scandals, and even time itself. Once worshipped by millions, these Hollywood icons vanished from the spotlight, only to live on quietly, forgotten by the fame they helped create. They were the stars who seduced the silver screen, who made the world believe in beauty, danger, and desire. And while many of their peers are long gone, these rare survivors remain, graceful, mysterious, and living proof that old Hollywood never truly dies. Before we begin, hit subscribe, because this isn't just nostalgia. It's the untold story of those who refuse to fade away. Number 1. Angie Dickinson, the last seductress of classic Hollywood. There was a time when no man in America could turn on a television without seeing Angie Dickinson. With her smoky voice, sharp wit, and dangerous beauty, she became the woman every man wanted and every woman secretly admired. From Rio Bravo alongside John Wayne to Policewoman, the show that turned her into a TV icon, Angie was the perfect mix of elegance and fire. But Hollywood never lets its goddesses rest easily. Behind the glamour, Angie lived a life filled with heartbreak and whispered rumors. Her marriage to composer Burt Bacharach was a roller coaster of fame, infidelity, and tragedy, especially after the loss of their daughter, Nikki. Yet through it all, Angie remained unshaken, refusing to play the victim. Even now, in her 90s, she still lives in Beverly Hills. A quiet reminder of a time when beauty meant mystery, not filters. Her charm hasn't faded. Her wit still slices like it did on screen. So why did Hollywood forget her? Maybe because she was too real, too confident, too unwilling to play by their rules. Angie Dickinson didn't just survive the golden age, she owned it. And if you remember her, you remember what real Hollywood seduction looked like. Before we move on, hit subscribe, because we're just getting started with legends who refuse to fade away. Number 2. Kim Novak, the enigmatic goddess who walked away from Hollywood. Kim Novak was never just beautiful, she was haunting. The icy blonde Hitchcock turned into a living dream in Vertigo wasn't acting, she was mystery itself. With her soft voice and eyes that looked like they were hiding 1,000 secrets, Kim became the fantasy of a generation. But behind the fame was a woman who wanted something Hollywood could never offer: peace. At the height of her career, she was everywhere: billboards, magazine covers, red carpets. Every studio wanted her to be the next Marilyn Monroe. But Kim refused. She hated the control, the gossip, the men who thought beauty meant ownership. So she did something unthinkable. She walked away. She traded Beverly Hills for a quiet ranch in Oregon, where she painted and lived among horses, far from the cameras that once worshipped her. Her love life, equally unconventional. Rumors of affairs with Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. nearly destroyed her career, but Kim never apologized for loving freely. That defiance made her a true Hollywood rebel, decades before the word feminist became fashionable. Today, in her late 80s, Kim Novak remains one of the last living enigmas of the golden age. Elegant, self-made, and still unapologetically herself. She didn't fade away, she simply chose her own ending. Number 3. Shirley MacLaine, Hollywood spiritual rebel who never backed down. Shirley MacLaine was never your typical Hollywood star. She was wild, unpredictable, and gloriously ahead of her time. While others chased glamour, Shirley chased truth. She laughed in the face of studio rules, spoke her mind on live TV, and lived her life like every day was an unscripted scene. She broke out in The Apartment and Irma la Douce, where her charm and razor wit turned her into one of Hollywood's most magnetic actresses. But Shirley wasn't just acting, she was living. Behind the red carpets and Oscars was a woman who explored everything the world said she shouldn't: past lives, reincarnation, and the idea that love and sex weren't sins but sacred. She openly discussed her affairs with some of Hollywood's most powerful men. and shrugged off the backlash with a smirk. "I don't regret a single thing," she once said, "because I was there for the experience." That's Shirley, fearless, curious, untamed. And when Hollywood tried to push her aside for younger faces, she didn't fade. She simply transformed, writing bestsellers, performing on stage, and traveling the world in search of enlightenment. Now, in her late 80s, Shirley MacLaine remains radiant, not from youth, but from knowing herself. She's proof that a woman doesn't have to obey Hollywood to outlive it. And maybe that's the real secret to staying timeless. If you love stories like this, hit subscribe, because the next legends we reveal only get bolder. Number 4. Faye Dunaway, the beauty who ruled Hollywood with fire and fury. When Faye Dunaway walked onto a movie set, the air changed. Directors straightened their backs, co-stars grew nervous, and the camera, loved her like no one else. With her sculpted cheekbones and eyes that could cut through steel, Faye wasn't just an actress, she was an event. In Bonnie and Clyde, she wasn't pretending to be dangerous, she was danger. The film turned her into the ultimate symbol of rebellion, the woman who made crime look like art and passion look like destiny. Then came Network, where she tore through the screen as the ruthless TV executive Diana Christensen. She didn't just play power, she was power. But that same fire burned her off screen too. Faye's temper was legendary. Crew members called her impossible, directors called her brilliant, and no one ever forgot working with her. She demanded perfection, not for vanity, but because she knew she was made for greatness. Her love life was a storm of intensity. Men like Marcello Mastroianni, Terry O'Neill, and Peter Wolf were all captivated, then consumed. Faye didn't belong to anyone, and she never apologized for it. Hollywood tried to tame her. It failed. Even as her fame faded, her legend only grew, that of a woman who played by no one's rules but her own. Now, even in her 80s, Faye Dunaway still walks like she's entering a scene. Still fierce, still flawless, still untouchable. She wasn't just in Hollywood. She ruled it, then walked away before it could destroy her. Number 5. Ann-Margret, the woman who made desire look like art. Ann-Margret wasn't just a movie star. She was electricity in human form. When she stepped onto a stage, the world didn't just watch, it stared. Her hair was fire, her smile was danger, and every move she made shimmered between innocence and seduction. She burst into fame in the early 1960s, first stealing hearts in Bye Bye Birdie, then setting them ablaze in Viva Las Vegas beside Elvis Presley. Their chemistry was so explosive it didn't need a script. Every glance, every grin felt like a secret the world wasn't supposed to see. Off-screen, that connection grew into something much deeper, and though she never spoke openly, the whispers of their affair only added to her legend. Unlike many of her peers, Ann-Margret was both sweet and wild, a contradiction that made her irresistible. She could perform a slow, sultry number one night and appear in a tearful drama the next, leaving audiences unsure whether they wanted to protect her or pray for her. But life tested her beyond the glitz. After a near-fatal fall in 1972 that shattered her face, she came back, stronger, fiercer, and more determined. She didn't just survive Hollywood, she conquered it twice. Even now, in her 80s, Ann-Margret remains pure charisma, elegant, fiery, and still dancing to her own rhythm. Her secret? She never pretended to be perfect. She was passion, imperfection, and joy all rolled into one. Ann-Margret didn't need to play sexy. She was the definition of it. Number 6. Julie Andrews, the lady who hid fire behind grace. To the world, Julie Andrews was the perfect lady, the angelic governess in The Sound of Music, the practically perfect nanny in Mary Poppins. But behind that porcelain smile and crystal voice was a woman far more complex, a woman of quiet rebellion, sensuality, and strength. Born into the uncertainty of wartime Britain, Julie learned early how to survive chaos with poise. Her mother was an alcoholic, her stepfather unstable. But Julie's gift, that miraculous voice, lifted her out of the noise. By the time she was a teenager, she was already performing for royalty, her soprano pure enough to make even hardened soldiers cry. Yet Hollywood saw her as an image, not a person. The pure one, the untouchable. What they didn't know was that Julie hated cages, even golden ones. Beneath the lace and high notes, she was fiercely intelligent, quick-witted, and unafraid to explore her sensuality, something the press never dared to admit. Her marriage to director Blake Edwards revealed that contrast vividly. Edwards once said Julie was as sexy as any woman alive. But no one believes it because she's Mary Poppins. Behind closed doors, she was full of life and laughter, even raunchy humor. Her friends often described her as naughty with a halo. But Hollywood wasn't kind to women who aged, even those who built it. When Julie lost her singing voice after a botched throat surgery in 1997, it should have ended her career. Instead, she reinvented herself as an author, an activist, and a woman unafraid to live on her own terms. Even today, when she speaks, people listen, not because of nostalgia, but because her voice, whether sung or spoken, still carries the truth. That being elegant doesn't mean being weak, and being kind doesn't mean being naive. Julie Andrews didn't just teach us how to sing, she taught us how to survive beautifully. So before we continue, make sure you subscribe. Because our next legend, Eva Marie Saint, was the kind of woman who made Hitchcock himself whisper, "Now that's danger in silk." Number 7. Eva Marie Saint. The woman who made innocence dangerous. Eva Marie Saint was never the loudest woman in the room. She didn't need to be. Her power came from silence, from the kind of quiet allure that made men lean closer without realizing why. When she appeared in Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, 1959, she didn't seduce with skin. She seduced with mystery. Every glance, every breath, every pause felt dangerous. Born in 1924, Eva's beauty wasn't loud or obvious. She had that old-world grace, smooth, reserved, almost fragile, but behind that softness, there was a core of steel. She wasn't the kind of woman who played the game, she studied it. And when she smiled, you could never tell whether she was comforting you or warning you. When Hitchcock cast her opposite Cary Grant, he saw what others had missed. A woman who could make danger look elegant. In North by Northwest, Eva's character isn't a helpless beauty. She's the one who plays the men. The moment she looks at Grant in the train car, the world stops. "It's going to be a long night," she says softly. And suddenly, you know she's not the angel she appears to be. Now, in her late 90s, Eva is one of the last living goddesses of Hollywood's golden age. Her presence, even today, is mesmerizing. When she walks into a room, the air changes, like a storm you don't hear yet, but you feel. Eva Marie Saint didn't have to scream to make history. She whispered, and the world still hasn't stopped listening. If you're loving these stories of timeless beauty and dangerous charm, hit that subscribe button. Because the next legend on our list wasn't dangerous by accident. She was born to be. Number 9. Sophia Loren, the woman who turned desire into art. Sophia Loren wasn't just beautiful. She was earthquake beautiful. The kind of woman whose presence could silence an entire room, whose laughter could make even the most jaded men feel alive again. But beyond the fire, the curves, and the lips made for sin, there was something even more intoxicating: authenticity. Born in the chaos of war-torn Naples, Sophia rose from poverty to become one of cinema's greatest goddesses. She carried that rough, soulful Italian spirit into every role, raw, sensual, unapologetically real. When she played women who loved too much, fought too hard, or suffered too deeply, audiences saw not an actress, but a mirror of life itself. Her breakthrough in Two Women proved she was more than just a face. She became the first actress to win an Oscar for a foreign language performance. And she did it by baring her soul, not her body. But make no mistake, Sophia understood desire like few ever could. When she appeared opposite Cary Grant or Marcello Mastroianni, the chemistry was volcanic. The screen didn't just glow, it burned. Off-screen, Sophia was fiercely loyal. She turned down countless men Hollywood threw at her, staying devoted to her great love, producer Carlo Ponti, despite decades of gossip and moral scandal. They called her immoral. She called it love. Now in her late 80s, Sophia Loren remains the embodiment of timeless allure, not because of perfection, but because she never pretended. She aged, loved, lost, and kept her fire alive. They were more than actresses. They were forces of nature, women who made Hollywood gasp, made the world blush, and made history remember their names. Each of them, from Jane to Sophia, broke rules, shattered expectations, and dared to show that confidence is the most powerful form of beauty. They didn't wait for permission to shine. They took it. When the studios tried to silence them, they spoke louder. When society told them to cover up, they revealed not just their bodies, but their truth. The brainless icons of Hollywood's golden age weren't just selling sex appeal. They were rewriting the script. They taught generations that a woman's worth isn't in modesty, but in the fire of her choices. Every scene, every scandal, every whispered rumor was part of a revolution, one stitched in silk, sweat, and pure self-belief. If you felt their power tonight, then hit subscribe to Vintage Hollywood Files. Because the next story will take you deeper into the secrets, scandals, and wild freedom of the stars who built the legend of Hollywood. Old Hollywood was never innocent, and that's exactly why we love it.